All right, have your textbooks open to page 65. Page 65, unit numbers 1 through 10 on the homework section. We're going to look at those in just a moment, but I wanted to review over those fraction decimal equivalents one more time. We don't have time because of everything we got to get done today to do a competition, because the competition takes about 8 minutes, but I do want to run through these both directions, make sure we're good. Let's start this way. You call out the decimals here. Let's do this. I want to be stand because I don't want to get you on camera. But let's just see who can win in row 1. So let's have all of row 1 pin against each other, so you can be the first one with the answer out of their mouths.
0.675. Wait, no, 625.
625. I can't tell who was first. I heard Kirsten. She figured it out. All right, next row. Here we go.
0.8.
0.6.
0.6, Corey. All right, next row.
0.8.
8.83 repeating. 0.83 repeating. All right.
0.8.
0.8. That was Michael that time. All right, middle row. Pay attention, page.
0.4.
0.4. That was Jalen.
0.75.
0.75. Bryson shakes his head. Give Luciana again. All right.
0.125.
0.125. That was in the back there. One of you two. All right.
0.5.
0.5. That was Corey again.
0.2.
0.2. Hang in there, Bryson.
0.4 repeating.
0.4. I think that might have been a three-way tie. Jump in there, Ben. It's 0.4 repeating. All right.
0.6 repeating.
0.6 repeating. There we go.
0.3 repeating.
0.3 repeating. There we go. Bryson, jump in there. Hey, he's like, I may not win overall, but I beat the two-time champion once. That's all, sometimes that's all it takes. All right.
There's a tie between me and
0.375.
0.375. 0.375.
I need to speak up.
0.16 repeating.
0.16 repeating. Ready to jump in there, Paige.
0.25.
0.25.
0.85.
0.875.
It's 0.875. I heard something in the back there. All right, so let's mix it up now. We're going to change the order. Now I'm going to show you the decimals.
No!
You call out the fractions, all right? You call out the fractions. And let's see, we just did them, so we're at this row here. Remember, don't start with point because they're fractions.
Okay. 5, 6.
5, 6, tie in the back. All right, you two ready?
4 nines.
4 nines, Bryson. That's twice.
Oh, wait, no.
2/3.
No.
Oh,
3/5. There you go, Ben. 3/5. All right, middle row. 3/5. Page. All right, Paul. 1/2. There we go. Things are back to normal. Just picking on you, Bryson. All right. 5/8. Actually, I think she might have jumped in before you finished it. All right, coming over to the middle.
2/3.
2/3. 2/3. Remember, 1/6 is the 0.1 and then the 6 repeating. So 2/3. 7 or 8. All right, here we go.
1/8.
1/8. I think that was Elaine.
3/4.
Ooh, he started it first. I think she may have finished it first.
Yeah.
No.
1/4.
1/6.
1/6.
1/8.
You read well, Mike. 1/6, Kirsten.
3/8.
3/8. That was Corey. 1/3.
4/9. Wait, no.
4/8.
2/5.
2/5. There we go, Ben.
4/8. 4/5.
4/5.
Tie. 4/5.
5/6.
5/6. I think that brings us around to the beginning again. All right, let's take a look at the homework now. You've got your books open to page 65. Homework section out. You did numbers 1 through 10, so a little shorter homework section than usual. I don't think you would mind that too much. All right. And the one ice cream cone, well, actually, they're both looking rather melted there. So these are definitely Georgia ice cream cones.
Yeah.
All right, number 1. You're supposed to find the GCF and LCM of 16 and 20. What's your GCF, Michael? You just had it open. Why did you shut it?
My GCF is 4.
4 is the GCF, and what's the least common multiple, Corey?
80.
80 is correct. Number 2. What did you get when you multiplied by 10,000, Luciana? Letter A?
7,392.
Say that again.
7,392.
Ooh, okay. So remember, how many zeros are in 10,000?
4.
How many places does decimal have to move?
4.
You moved in the right direction, you just didn't move enough places. You moved 3 places, we need to move 1 more. Add 1 0 on the end, 73,920. How about letter B? What did you get when you multiplied by 10 to the 4th, Bryson?
Yeah, 1,245,200.
All right, I think I heard a point at the beginning, but then I think I heard you actually say it correctly. There's not a point at the beginning, but it's 2,145,280. And notice both of those technically are multiplying by 10,000, right, class? One time they write it as 10,000, which has 4 zeros. The next time they write it as 10 to the 4th, which has 4 zeros, as evidenced by the 4. Number 3, what did you get when you added those 2 fractions on letter A, Jalen?
20 and 2 15.
Good, I should say added those 2 mixed numbers, and you did a great job, 20 and 2 15s. And what about when you multiplied on letter B, Kirsten?
1 and 8 21st.
Great job, 1 and 8 21st, that's exactly correctly said, great job. Number 4, what did you get when you divided those 2 numbers, Ben?
562.
You wrote it correctly, you said it just a little off.
562.
562.
There you go, 562 is correct. How many knocked off the end zeros before you did the division? Excellent, be lazy. Letter B, you multiplied, Elaine.
819.72.
On 4B? Page?
752.652.
Less the and, yes, 752.652 is correct. I'm not quite sure what you did there, Elaine. Let me come back to you for redemption. You were finding the decimal equivalent on letter A, 4/15. Elaine, that's not one we've memorized, right? The memorized ones are nice because, I mean, we don't have to do any work at all. We already know them. What do you have to do to get a decimal equivalent on this problem?
Divide.
And how do we set up the division? What goes where?
4 in the box with like 3 zeros, a decimal point and 3 zeros after it, and then the 15 outside dividing it.
There we go. And when you divided it out, what did you get for your answer?
0.26 repeating.
Good, 0.26, and it's just going to keep making more 6s, so we'll just have a bar over the 6. How many had that answer, 0.26 repeating? Are there any questions on how to do that? We all good with that? Okay, we've been doing it for a few days now. And then letter B, class, we should all already have that memorized.
0.75.
0.75, don't do any math there. Number 6, letter A, order of operations. What did you get for your answer? Kirsten?
30.
30 is correct. How about letter B? What did you get for your answer, Jalen?
I got 44.
44 is correct. How about letter C? Oh, just a second. Letter C, what did you get for your answer? Michael?
23.
23 is correct. Jalen, question?
On number 6, I got 10.
For letter A?
Yes.
Okay, let's take a look at letter A. Again, the answers for 6 were 30, 44, and 23. Question was asked on letter A. We've got this here. All right, so what's the first thing we have to do here, Jalen? Looking up at the board.
The parentheses.
Parentheses. And what is 5 plus 5?
10.
10. All right, so I'm going to scribble that out because I'm lazy and write a 10. All right, now the next thing in order of operations we have to do is
Exponent.
exponent. 2 squared just gets replaced with
4.
4. All right, now the next thing in order of operations is
Multiplying and dividing.
multiplying and dividing. So we're going to multiply here. We're also going to divide. Now there's 2 divisions, but the fraction division is kind of grouped together. Remember, fraction bar groups. That division has to happen before this division can happen. So right here, of course, the 4 times 10, that's no problem.
40.
40. But here, we've got to take care of the 6 divided by 3 real quick.
2.
2, or more like simplifying a fraction, right? 6/3 kind of just becomes a 2. And then 20 divided by 2 is
10.
10. Now we can subtract, and that's where we get the 30. You subtracted the 20 to get 20 divided by 2, and that's where you got your 10. Wait on that subtraction. That's the last thing you'll do. All right, good. Any other questions on 6B or C? Do we need to see either of those worked? All right, dropping down to number 7 says, write the reciprocal of, well, class, what's the reciprocal of 7?
1/7.
1/7. What's the reciprocal of 2 7s?
7 seconds.
7 halves, or 7 over 2. And what's the reciprocal of 3?
1/3.
1/3. Number 8. Beethoven wrote 9 symphonies and 32 piano sonatas. What is the ratio of piano sonatas to symphonies, Paige?
32:9.
Good. How many noticed they reversed the order when they asked the question? Watch for that. Don't let them trip you up. 32:9 is correct. Does that reduce, class? No, so we leave it. Number 9. Chad had 3 quarters, 3 dimes, 8 nickels, 22 pennies. How much total change did he have, Jalen?
$1.67.
We choked getting it out because we were thinking about ice cream, but it is $1.67. I tell you, it's not fair to put a word problem right above pictures of ice cream cones that are melting. You're like, I gotta lick it quick. Anyway, number 10. School cafeteria sold 64 vanilla ice cream cones, 120 chocolate ice cream cones on Monday. What's the ratio of vanilla cones to chocolate cones? Let's start there, Elaine.
64 to 20.
64 to 120, and that reduced.
Ew.
It did reduce. You forgot to reduce. Yeah, 64 to 120 is initially right. What could we definitely divide both of them by?
8.
Yes, you can actually. Yeah, 64 divided by 8 is
8.
8. And most of us don't know 120 divided by 8, but you're right, it does to get
1 something. 15.
There we go, 15. So you said with such confidence that it divided by 8, I just assumed somehow for some weird reason you had it memorized. Yeah, it is 15. How many got the 8 to 15 for that ratio? How many left the 64 to 120? How many at least ought to reduce by the 2? I mean, they're both even numbers. I mean, that's what I would have started with if I'm a typical 7th grader. I'm getting 32 to 60. Maybe I see the 4 down, just like 4 15-minute periods in 60 to get the 8 to 15. I at least see a 2 to get 16 to 30. And there's another 2 when we end up at the 8 to 15. So that's probably how I would have done it in 7th grade. Letter B says, what's the ratio of chocolate cones sold to total cones sold? Before we reduce, what's the answer, Bryson?
120 and 184.
120 to 184. Did you get a reduced answer?
Yes.
What'd you get?
15 over 23.
15 to 23 is correct. Great job. By the way, in this ratio 15 to 23 class, what do we call the 23? The consequent, because it's the second one. The first term class is called the antecedent. What's another way? But I mean, we usually want to write them with the fraction look, right? But what's another way we could write 15 to 23, Corey?
15 colon 23.
15 colon 23. There's another way we could write it also, Luciana. 15 to 23. We literally just write it with the word 2. And what's the point of this ratio? What is this a ratio doing, class? Comparing, right? It's simply comparing chocolate to the total number, right? So that comparison is shown using that ratio. Any questions on the homework? Questions on the homework? All right, go and set your books aside. Just have a clean sheet of paper and a pencil. Clean sheet of paper and a pencil. Let's take a quiz over what we've been working on lately. Now, if you remember yesterday, we talked a little bit about percents. That is not on the quiz. Okay, we have not spent enough time talking about that. So ratios, fractions, percent or fraction decimal equivalents. That's what we're looking at here. Stuff we've been working on really hard for a little while now. So, clean sheet of paper, pencil. Everything else away. And this is quiz 4B. Quiz 4B for those watching on video. Quickly. Clean sheet of paper, pencil, everything else should be off your desks. Griffin and Sam, if you're watching, obviously you'll make this up when you get back. Missing you today. Empty seats on my front corners. Mildly depressing. All right. First and last name in the name spot. Today's date in the date spot. First and last name in the name spot. Today's date in the date spot. Today is 9/22/23. What about off the desk? 9/22/23. Today's date. Let's take a look at the quiz together. Numbers 1 through 10. Some of these going to be real easy, real quick. Some of these you're going to have to do a little bit of work for. Okay? Do what you know to do on those. Got some quick questions for you there. And for numbers 11 through 14, some terminology there in 11 and 12, 13 and 14, kind of like the stuff we've been doing in the homework. And then some review problems there over fractions at the bottom. All right, use that blank page as a cover sheet. And you may begin. Work neatly and carefully, but work quickly. answer's covered with your blank paper. Remember, we always reduce fractions and ratios to lowest terms, if you can. Once you're finished, turn the paper over, sit quietly. If you're still working, still have a few more minutes to finish, so no rush. Work carefully and neatly. About 3 more minutes to be finishing up. Two more minutes to be finishing up. Just a little longer to be finishing up. Let me go and collect those up from you at this time. And if you would, go and get your textbooks out. Turn to page 68. Page 68, I believe it is. Page 68 in your textbooks. Yesterday, we began looking at another way to show a part of a group. We talked about fractions, obviously. We talked about how fractions and decimals are related. Of course, we'd memorized fraction decimal equivalents. But what was the new way we talked about yesterday to show a part of a group? Jalen? Percents, right? We said that a percent shows a part of a group, but it shows a specific part. Feet down, Elaine. It shows what part? I said that we need to memorize this statement, class. Percent means 100. Percent means parts per 100 or 100. All right, so knowing that and remembering place value, how many decimal places then should we associate with percent, class? 2 decimal places. Literally, you could think per cent, like think money. A cent, right, is 2 decimal places. So that might help you remember that as well. And so we said if we wanted to convert a decimal into a percent, class, we just move the decimal twice. If you want to make a decimal into or a percent into a decimal, you move the decimal twice. And I gave you a little 3, not letter technically, but 3-figure acronym thingy you could use to remember. Who remembers what that was, Ben?
D2P.
D2P means decimal to percent. If you go this way, and if you go this way, it says percent to decimal. So if you want to convert a decimal to a percent, you make the decimal go 2 places this way. If you want to make a percent go into a decimal, you go 2 places that way. What if I wanted to make a percent into a fraction? Well, percent means what, class? Hundredths. So I should simply give whatever the percent is a denominator of
100.
100. You with me, Bryson? She's like, huh, what? If I want to turn a percent into a fraction, I just give the percent what denominator? 100. There we go. All right, so you're on page 68. We did all the odds yesterday. I want you to go now and do 2 through 12 the even. 2 through 12 the even as we review what we looked at yesterday at the end of the hour. 2 through 12 the even shouldn't take you real long except reducing the fractions. Takes a little time, doesn't it? So go ahead and get your fractions, but go ahead and reduce them, and in just a couple minutes we'll see how you did on 2 through 12 the even numbered problems. Several people already finished. Good. Continue working if you're not. Thirty more seconds to be finishing up. All right, class, percent means 100, which means the denominator is,
100.
at least when you start out. But 25%, if you put 25 over 100 for number 2, it reduces to what page?
1/4.
1/4. Number 4, if you put 17 over 100, it doesn't reduce. So class, we just get 1700s, right? 17 over 100. Number 6, if you put 530 over 100, what do you wind up with here, Corey?
53 over 10.
53 tenths, or if you wanted to go with 5 and 3 tenths, you could. 53 tenths or 5 and 3 tenths. How about number 8? What did you get for your reduced answer, Elaine?
22 over 25.
22 25ths is correct. How about number 10? This was a big one. What did you get for this one, Michael?
I got 78. Wait.
You just realized you're easy. He was going to say 78 tenths. And oh, whoops.
39 over 5.
39 fifths is correct. Excellent. Or you might have had 7 and 4 fifths if you wanted to go mixed number there. And number 12, what did you get for that one, Luciana?
3/4.
3/4 is correct. How many got all the ones you did correct, even if you didn't finish all of them? Are there any we need to see worked out? You say, I didn't get that. Can you show me how to do that?
Number 6.
Number 6. Yeah, so we're going to start, of course, with the 530%. We're like, well, I know what percent means, class. Hundreds. So I'm going to put 530 over 100. And the quick, easy way to do it, knock off the zeros. And then we're done. That's what the way the book leaves it, so I'm okay with that. Or if you're like, well, I like mixed numbers better, 5 and 3 tenths, because 10 goes in 53, 5 times 3 left over. Yes, ma'am. Number 10, similar type of thing, right? Because it's weird because it's bigger than 100%. So you put the 780 over the 100, again, knock off the zeros, there's Michael's 78/10, and then when you divide the 2 out of the top and bottom, there's the 5, that's the easy one, and then Michael did very quick work in his head to get the 39, or again, 7 4/5. Other questions on those? The easier ones to me are the next section, where you're changing a percent to a decimal, because all you gotta do, class, is move the decimal 2 places. Which direction?
Right.
We have a percent, and we're going to a decimal, so we go to the left 2 places. Boink, boink. That's all it takes. At your seats, 14 to 24, the even. 14 to 24, the even. Shouldn't take real long. Number 14, 31% becomes what, Ben?
0.31.
Well, we say 0.31, but yes, 0.31. Number 16 becomes what, Kirsten?
0.16.
0.16. Number 18, careful, becomes what, Corey?
0.00005.
You were not fooled. They did everything they could to bait you into going the wrong direction with that. Like, surely I should move it. Surely they don't want me to have this many zeros. Don't be fooled. Do what you know to do. D2P, move it 2 places to the left. Great job. 0.0000, 4 zeros, then you're 5. Number 20, Bryson.
0.205.
What, number 20? Oh, you're looking at 19. Number 20.
0.524.
Well, we just say 0.524. So after a decimal, we just read off the digits. It's just what mathematicians do. 0.524. Number 22. What did you get for that one, Elaine?
6.33.
6.33. And number 24, Jalen?
0.128.
There we go. 0.128. Move it both places there. How many got all of those correct? Are there any questions on those? Now let's go the other direction. They've given you decimals. They want you to turn them into percents. Do 26 to 32 the even. Starting with the decimal, going to the percent, so 2 places to the right this time. Shouldn't take us long. All of us in here done. Good. Number 26, Michael.
I'm at 42%.
Good. 0.42 becomes 42%. What about number 28? What's 0.38, Kirsten?
38%.
38%. What about 0.09 then? For number 30?
9%.
Percent. There we go. 9% is correct. And what about number 32? They try to be a little bit tricky here, Elaine.
7.2%.
Good. 7.2% is correct. I'm going to get all of those right. Any questions on those? Look over at page 71 with me, if you would, please. Page 71. And we want here to practice turning fractions into percents. Turning fractions into percents. And actually, excuse me, let's backtrack here. Page 69 is where we are. We'll get to page 71 in a second. Page 69, turning a fraction into a percent. They give you the example at the bottom of page 69, the fraction 4/5. How do I turn that into a percent? Well, if it's a fraction, listen, that you already know the decimal for, it'd be so easy, wouldn't it, to just write 4/5 as 0.8. And then now that it's a decimal, boink, boink. And what do we get, class? 80%, right? So if 4/5 of the class, I was about to say 4/5 of the guys are gone. It's actually only 2/6, or 1/3 of the guys that are gone. Anyway, 4/5 would be 80%. Well, let's take that. Let's say we've got 1/3 of the guys in my class today are skipping, Griffin and Sam. Anyway, if 1/3 of the guys are skipping class today because they're just kidding. We could make this into a percent as well, couldn't we? 1/3 becomes what decimal, class? 0.3 repeating. Now, here's the thing. If I boink on this one, though, it's a repeating decimal. Do I fill in the gap with a 0, class?
No.
That gap's already filled in, isn't it? This is just a continuous string of what, class?
Three.
Threes. It's just a whole bunch of threes. So when I boink, I get 33.3 repeating percent. Does that make sense? Or, if you wanted to, you're like, well, but is it 0.3 repeating 1/3? Couldn't I say 33 and 1/3%? Sure. All right? But you could just simply make fractions into decimals, even if you had something like 6 and 1/5. Well, class, what is 1/5 as a decimal?
0.2.
0.2. So 6 and 1/5 would be,
6.2.
and if I want to make that into a percent, boink, class, I get 620%. Remember, one of something is 100%. All of something, one thing is 100%. One whole pizza, 100% of the pizza. Anything less than that is a smaller percent than 100. Bigger percent than 100 just means you got more than one of it, right? 300% of a pizza, 3 pizzas. Yes, more flavor. All right, so that's one way in which we can change a fraction into a percent. But look on page 71 now. Look at that little fast fact. See, mathematicians are lazy. And in some instances, like the ones I showed on the board, man, this method is great. But what if you got something like 4/25? Do I know that decimal? Could I get that decimal? Yeah, absolutely, right? I could, if I wanted to, I could get the decimal just fine. I could say that goes 0.16. And then I could go boink, boink. And then class, I would get 16%. Could I do that? Sure. But that's a lot of work. There's another method. Because what does percent mean?
100.
So in other words, class, if I could make the denominator easily become a 100, can't I? What do I have to do to a 25 to make it 100? Times 4. And what you do to the bottom, got to do the top, right? And so 16 hundredths. Wait, what means hundredths? Percent. I has to do it backwards. Gotcha this time, didn't it? What means hundredths, class?
Percent.
So if it says 16 hundredths, we know that's the same as 16%. Wouldn't we all agree that's easier in this instance? Now, is that always easiest? No. Right? If I had something like 7/16, is it easy to turn a 16 into a 100? Not so much. No. No, it's not. So I'm not going to do that way. I'll go ahead and divide, get the decimal, and then I'll boink, boink, and I'll get the percent. But if it's easy, like denominator 10 is easy, right? Denominator 20 would be easy. Denominator 50 would be easy. Obviously, we saw denominator 25 is easy. If they give you an easy denominator, we can just change it to hundredths. At your seats, I want you to do, let's do numbers 1 through 11, the odd, on page 71. Page 71, 1 through 11, the odd. If it's a decimal you've memorized, make it a decimal, boink, boink. If it's not one you've memorized and you can easily get a denominator of 100, do that. And if not, if you have to divide it, go ahead and divide it. In some cases, you could reduce to make it something you could work with. So do page 71, 1 to 11, the odd. Three methods. If you know the decimal, write the decimal, boink, boink. You don't have a clue, divide it out, then boink, boink. If you can make the denominator 100, do it. Whatever your numerator is, that's your percent. 1 to 11, the odd.
Fuzzy. Fuzzy. Fuzzy.
Bless you. Can you tissue? Jalen's sweater took care of it all.
What?
I'm just kidding. I'm just picking on you. He caught his sneeze. He was good. Just about 30 seconds longer to work, and then we'll take a look at these together. Just the odd. I said that 2 or 3 times.
Oh.
It's okay. It's okay. I also wrote it on the board, so you would know. I'm curious.
I didn't look up
It's okay. No one dies.
yet.
That's, perspective. Like when we have a babysitter, watch the kids for us, we say, okay, we have 3 rules. Number 1, nobody dies. Number 2, the house doesn't burn down. Number 3, you are sane. I don't care if the kids are, but you still are. As long as the babysitter's still sane, we're fine. So, yeah. Perspective, Also, one of my rules for endurance runs, nobody dies. Anyway, all right, let's take a look at these together. Numbers, for the record, nobody did die, just for the
I'm
record.
still here.
Yeah, she's still here. All right, number 1, 3/5. Class, we know what 3/5 is as a decimal. What's 3/5? 0.6. So write your 0.6 and boink boink. What do we get?
60%.
60%. Let that one be easy. How many had 60% for the first one? Number 3, we know what 3/4 is as a decimal.
75.
0.75. Boink boink. What do we get?
75%.
75%. Look at number 5. 3/10. Well, technically we should know what that is if we just think place value, but it's also easy to think of a denominator of 100. Just multiply top and bottom class by 10. So what's my numerator? And if it's 30 hundredths, that means
30%.
30% because percent means hundredths. How many good to go on 135? All right, number 7 actually looks vaguely familiar. I didn't intend to give you one that was already in the work, but if we have a 4/25, we see we just need to multiply top and bottom by what to get that 100 denominator class?
4.
So we do get how many hundredths?
16.
So my answer is
16%.
16%. Looking at number 9. Oh, well, they had to give you one awful one, right? 17/40. I don't have it memorized. Is it easy to turn a 40 into a 100?
No.
Depending on who you are, some of you might think this. If I take 2 1/2 40s, 40, 40, half of that is 20, that makes 100. You could multiply by 2 1/2. Now it's kind of unconventional. I don't know that most 7th graders would think of that, but you could. Let's see, 17 times 2, let's make it 0.5. 5 times 7, carry the 3, we get 8. Put a 0. 2 times 7,
14.
carry the 1, we get 3. We add this together, and we get 42.5 hundredths. In other words, class, we get 42.5%. That's one way to do it. That said, I think most of you probably put the 17 in the house and the 40 outside. Maybe this is faster. Honestly, how much times 4 go to 17, class? 4. That's 4 times 40 is 160. How many times 4 go into 10? 2. 2 times 40 is 80. How many times 4 go into 20? 5. Then boink, there's my 42.5%. Both ways are fine.
Oh.
How many either way you got 42.5%?
I got 45%.
Oh, careful questions. Questions? All right, and then number 11. It looks ugly at first, like, oh, 16ths, are you kidding me? But wait, what's 8/16, class?
1/2.
1/2. What's 1/2 as a decimal?
50%.
0.5, and then boink, you get 50%.
50%.
Most of you already know that a half is 50% anyway. You don't need to bother with the 0.5. Questions on that? All right, anyone get all the ones you did right? Are there any questions at all on changing fractions to percents? Because percent to fraction, put it over 100. Decimal to percent, point, point. Percent to decimal, point, point. And, wait, other way around. You guys are in reverse of me, so anyway. And then fraction to percent. Get a denominator of 100, divide it out, and then point, point, or just, if it's a memorized decimal, do thusly. Homework for the weekend is to do page 69. Page 69, 1 to 26. Page 69 in the homework section. Do numbers 1 through 26. Take a look at those quizzes on Monday. Well, not Griffin and Sam's, but anyway, I'm having way too much fun picking on them while they're not here. I really hope they watch the video. That'd be sad to pick on them if they don't even watch it. Page 69, homework, numbers 1 through 26. Page 69, 1 to 26. We'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at the quizzes Monday. Have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful weekend. When the bell rings, you are dismissed.